This here is a toy grade truck. These are the wheels that go on it. Basically, this is the stock motor. So in here, what we did is we installed a brushless. Hold on, let me get this out. And 1, 2, 3. So there we go. We got the brushless motor, the 10-tooth 48-pitch pinion, which I just got. There's a couple of things that happened or happens to this particular chassis. The plastic is somewhat brittle, so all the inserts, or some of the inserts for the screw mounts, or where the screws go, have broken. As you can see, there's one there which has been glued back on. That one too has also been re-glued. So the mesh was a bit tight. Now it seems fine. Basically, I enlarged the screw holes by 0.5 millimeters at a time. So now I have one that's at 3.5 millimeters and the other one that's at 4 millimeters. And that gives me the meshing that I need. Because otherwise it was like extremely tight. In general, when you're doing RC stuff, it's good to have, for the most part, a metric drill bit set. You know, from like 1.5 to 2.5. Most of it is at 0.5 increments until you get to 7. I've never really needed any other sizes than this for RC stuff in general. So I've had some longer screws. I had to cut them down to 35 millimeters. They do an awesome job covering the hole with a washer and holding the gearbox together. So I'm just going to put it back together and see how well it meshes now once it's assembled. See, right off the bat, that feels a lot better. See that? There's a pretty good job. It's just the right length. So it's still pretty noisy, but it's a lot better than it was before. I mean, I know you didn't hear it before, but it's not exactly the best setup either. So I think we'll take that as a win. That's weird. Yeah, when I push the suspension up, there's binding in the suspension, in the drivetrain. See, it's hard to turn. Push it down. Here it turns, but here it's really hard to turn. So there might be something in there. Okay, let's have a look in here and see. Don't know if you can see that, but it looks like the shaft might be sticking into the drive cup a little too much. If you look at how far this piece is sticking out compared to this one, can tell that this one here has been pushed in a bit too far. So that seemed to have fixed, for the most part, the problem of the binding on that side. So let's put it back together yet again. There we go. That definitely helped that. Hey, that sounds a lot healthier. Right, down to part 2. So I got the front gearbox apart, and the front servo goes in exactly like this. So, I need to figure out how this servo is going to mount in here. And if this servo mount is usable on this servo. So let's get this servo mount off. It's actually a square drive, so I don't know if I can use this. I've got a bunch of other servo horns that I can look into. I might be able to just replace this completely. So in my stuff, I basically found a Tamiya servo saver set. All I gotta do is figure out a spacer and a washer that goes on top. Let's see if this washer will work. Essentially, you just need to find the right combination. Seems to work. Comes back to neutral. Little tiny bit of play, much less than the original. And it's nice and tight over here. I can probably tighten it a bit more. Yep, that seems to work quite nicely. There's a lip here where the original servo leaned up against, and I think it's pretty much what I need to do. However, this is in the way, and I'm gonna have to chop off the corner here as well as this to get this up here. So I made a spacer back here. It's going to squeeze in. I'm going to glue this in so that it stays in on one side when we take it apart. For the bottom of the servo, the original one is a little bit deeper, if you will, and it sits flush here, which is normally held on by this. So I'm going to need to insert a piece down here. Same thing as this, but down here. Make sure it stays where it's supposed to be. So I need to cut a groove in one of these so I can get this in there. Alright, so it's time to get this in here. Got the rods attached. Let's see if this works. So this is where we're at right now. You got the front, we got the servo installed with the spacers inside. It's not going anywhere. Got the front set up with the steering. Rear's all set up, the motor's in. Got a couple of screws left to put in here. The body mounts to put back on. We're gonna need to machine out or cut parts of this thing off the battery compartment area here because it's round and I don't have any round batteries. So I don't know if I'm gonna put the original coils back on or if I'm gonna go with these guys here. I'm gonna pop these hinge pins out because they're press fit, so we'll see what happens with that. So that's what we got for now. Again, I don't know if it's gonna last with the brushless motor in it, but I guess we'll see, right? The drivetrain seems kind of noisy, as you might have heard, and these tires don't seem very sticky, so that's gonna help. Maybe since there's not that much traction, maybe it'll help it with not destroying the gears and that. So we'll have to see what happens, and I guess I'll catch you later.